Well, just over a week ago, the Prime Minister Anthony Albanese had never met Donald Trump. Then he had that Oval Office meeting. It seemed to go well. Well, overnight, it seems that Anthony Albanese is Trump's right-hand man. Not only did they meet again in Asia, but he was summoned to a dinner and to sit beside Donald Trump at that dinner. Joining me live now is Ambassador to the United States, Arthur Sinodinos, former Ambassador to the United States, Arthur Sinodinos. I'm sure you wish you still were Ambassador there. Or I don't know, maybe mixed feelings about that, Arthur. What do you make of these recent events overnight?
Well, look, I think it shows that the President and the Prime Minister developed a rapport based on the meeting in the White House the week before, and that was on show in Korea at this dinner. They seated the Prime Minister, as you say, on the right hand of Donald Trump. It was interesting that Mark Carney was put as far away as possible from Donald Trump, but I think it shows that Donald Trump remembers that Australia sort of stepped up on a number of issues, including critical minerals, and this is the way you deal with the United States these days. You find areas of mutual benefit that appeal to the objectives of the US as well as ours.
Yeah, he seems really taken with that critical minerals deal, doesn't he? Because Trump's still talking about it a week later. What does that show about how we should operate with Trump? Obviously, we've got this momentum now. How should we use it?
I think you operate with someone that is so clearly transactional by identifying areas where there is mutual benefit. We did this with critical minerals. We got an agreement that AUKUS should be proceeding. I think we have to think of other areas where we can complement the US, but in a way that suits our national objectives. Always remembering that we're in this not to please the US, we're in this to serve our national interest. And our national interest is to have a continuing US presence in the Indo-Pacific and showing ways in which their security is intimately tied up with security in the Indo-Pacific.
Yeah, that's right. So it leads us to this crucial meeting, which will affect Australia greatly, between Xi Jinping and Donald Trump. I mean, we say on the cusp of a trade war. They've really been engaged in a trade war for quite some time with the tit-for-tat tariffs and the leverage that Donald Trump has been using, and perhaps more subversive leverage that China's been retaliating with. What does a good outcome look like from this meeting, do you think?
Well, from President Trump's point of view, a good outcome is to be able to say he got a good trade deal, more soybean purchases by the Chinese and other products. I don't think the Chinese will be looking to give away anything that compromises their policy positions, which is increasing their investment in critical and emerging technologies, continuing to become more independent and self-sufficient of the US and indeed of global trade, whilst continuing to dominate supply chains in areas like rare earths. So I think there'll be some give and take at the meeting. The President has already indicated that the priority in his dealings with China seems to be trade and business rather than security.
Does Trump want to use Australia as a bit of a buffer? I mean, this critical minerals deal could be seen as that, absolutely. I mean, China has 90% stranglehold over that market. This deal with Trump means that we could get that from about 4 to 10%. Are we being used a little bit in that way? Should we be happy to be used?
It's not that we're used in any manipulative way. It's just that it's in our interest to develop our critical minerals resources too. But this does give the President leverage in dealing with the Chinese. Deals with Australia. There was a deal done with the Japanese about critical minerals just the other day when the President was in Tokyo. Doing deals in Central Asia. The Americans are very active now in critical minerals. They're pretty serious about developing them, providing all sorts of guarantees, offtake agreements, bank guarantees. So, yes, all of this is a point of leverage with the Chinese to show that that Western countries, led by the US, are developing alternatives. This will take time. It won't happen overnight. So China will continue to be quite dominant in these areas.
Arthur, while we've been so focused on our relationship with the United States, do you think there's a quid pro quo when it comes to our relationship with China? Do we still need to walk a very fine line here?
I think we need to continue to have a trade and economic relationship with China, but the Chinese are clear-eyed. They know that we've made a choice when it comes to our defence and security partners, and we made that choice a long time ago. So they know all that, and they realise that we stand up and defend our national interests. That's why in the end they had to drop their trade and economic coercion. There was a new government in Australia and that helped, but ultimately that was bipartisan in Australia opposing that trade and economic coercion. The Chinese got the message. They can't just push us around, and that we'll stand up for our national interest, but we continue to want to have a productive relationship with China. We don't want to unduly provoke them one way or the other, but we'll stand up for our national interest, as indeed they do.
Yep, we will see how they'll react to this. But of course, Xi Jinping and Donald Trump meeting in just a couple of hours from now. Arthur, always good to talk to you, get your take on things. Good to see you home in Sydney too.
Thanks, Laura.